All right. All right, so I will call the regular meeting for September 25th for the Inland Wetland Commission to order. Start with introductions. I am Pat Paracourt, Commission. When we go this way.
Danielle Monroe, alternate.
Nicholas Jordan, Commissioner.
Kevin Seaman, Commissioner.
Pat,
That's Sal, alternate.
thank you.
Dave McCollum, Inland Wetlands Agent.
Mary Churchill, recording secretary.
Awesome, okay. So first order of business would be old business, 7 Rockwell Road. Dave, you want to update us?
Yeah,
Okay.
and before I do, Mr. Chairman, I've been advised that one of the party's soil scientists is running late,
Okay,
and they would like to wait to have them be present before we go into that. So would you be interested in making a motion to bump 56 Codfish Hill Road up to the front of your agenda and table?
It is.
Oh, it is.
It
Okay, well, I'm glad I did that the right way.
might move, but okay.
Okay, so,
So let's do I have to make a motion then?
no, you're
All right.
good. I forgot that I had that on the agenda in that order. So
Okay.
you're all set.
All right, because on mine it's the opposite, but okay. So
Wait,
let's go
Let
over,
me s-
I got it.
It's under new business.
It's under new business.
But on top, right?
On bottom.
Yeah, on the top.
No. The one that's
right.
Filed on the top.
So just in
Oh,
case, I make a motion that we discuss 56 Codfish Hill Road on the agenda now.
well, yeah, that you'll do that and that you'll table 7 Rock.
And then we'll table 7 Rockwell Road till afterwards.
Okay,
So,
Second.
okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Okay, we're good. So 56 Rockwell Road, new business. Dave, would you like to educate us?
yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a new application that is coming before you for acceptance. The land use office received this rights at the 35-day deadline, if you will. I'm not using the right terminology for it, but the 35th day for you guys to accept this was tonight. This came into us. The hard copies came into us on August. It would be the 21st, I believe. So I'm gonna go through the application just in general terms. The project engineer, Mr. Mizuko, is joining us by Zoom tonight. We did receive a report from their soils scientist this afternoon. I did not include it in the Google Drive for that reason. I do have hard copies for your reference if you would like to peruse them. I only have 2 copies of those, but I do have 4 copies of the site plans if you want to go through them.
Do you have them on a computer or is it?
All of the documents that you guys are accepting tonight were in the Google Drive for tonight's meeting, so I can pull those up too. If you are interested, I will also distribute the soils report that we received today. I would advise that you guys take a few minutes to go through them, and if you have any questions for myself or Mr. Mizuko, we can go through those shortly.
Thank you. So this is just to accept the application?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you give me this bearing on Codfish Hill where we're talking?
Sure. Let me pull that up on the screen here. I'm sorry?
Like just overview.
Yeah, I'm gonna just, I'm gonna pull it up here on Bethel GIS. Okay.
Scale's one of the first things you look for when you look at a site plan.
I'm wondering how close this is. I mean, they barely hit the
Scale,
vertical.
1 inch equals 30 feet, it says.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right under the plan, that's.
can everybody see? I'm gonna share my screen here in a second. Can everybody see my screen?
But the scale
Yes,
is
sure.
profiles.
Okay, so the highlighted parcel of interest is here in red. If you zoom in, here's the intersection with, if I'm getting my roads right, this is gonna be Dodging Town Road And then this becomes codfish, and then here's that fork with wolf pits.
Okay,
And if you go to the
Well,
left,
bits and then-
right, this is almost right across the street from the Ichabod Lane. What is that complex over there?
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow, thank you very much. This parcel is almost right across the street from that entrance.
You know what, Pat?
yes,
Or, yeah, the wood, it's a wood,
Yeah.
the little stretch.
it's close to where we looked at that other site.
Yeah.
I don't know the parcel, I know the street across, I know where we are now, thank you.
Okay,
That's a sweet piece of property, that farm property there.
Yeah, there's a lot of street property doing that.
It's got woodland behind it too. If I remember correctly, it's like a woodland.
Okay, so you wanna go over this, or you would like Mr. Mizuko go over this?
I don't want to dive into this in any great detail, and I don't wanna try to, speak for Mr. Mizuko. For what he may want to
Right.
say, if, does someone mind letting me have a copy of the site plan?
Here. That's it, though.
Thanks, perfect.
Sure.
Okay. So if it isn't obvious already, this proposal is for the construction of a single family dwelling. The. Bear with me here. Trying to find some of the numbers for you. Where they are. Mr. Mizuko, did you put the areas for regulated upland review and wetlands on here?
I just put the line on there. I didn't compute the actual area on there. I think I put on the statewide, the activity in that upland area.
Okay. Let me get one of the application forms there. Attach right to. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. When they write on 30-inch maple, 36-inch maple, is that diameter or circumference?
Where are you pointing to?
Just all the tree.
Tree work.
I'm assuming it's
Maples in
diameter.
the front.
or
Yeah,
else
I,
it's significant.
it would be diameter.
Right.
It would be diameter.
That's all over
Tree.
here. And maybe in the-
I like that it showed the trees. once.
One of the numbers of interest for you is this application entails a proposal of 0.17 acres of altered regulated upland review area. Okay.
Okay.
Another item of interest for you, the wetlands that you're looking at on the back. The soil scientist of record describes that as a vernal pool. So I think it's worth you
Yeah.
taking a look through that soils report, and if you have any questions, let me know.
But we're just expecting the applications, right?
Right, you're accepting the application, and in doing so, you're deciding which review process you're going to use. Whether that's a public hearing or a site plan review. I'll give one of these plans back if you guys, I just needed to look up that number.
But aren't there more factors of the decision? Deciding on to accept the application. That we need to determine now, like the reasons, remember we were running some snags in previous meetings about, or with previous applications about. How.
We should have asked. for
Like under
a
what
report.
condition, a public, do you know what I'm trying to say, like
Yeah.
a site plan review or a public hearing based on.
Right,
Right, we had a discussion. One of the- yeah.
So this is
What are the-
why it's worth going through the materials. And then if you guys have any questions, once the four of you are ready to discuss, you can go through all those things at that time.
Okay,
Is what I would say.
all right, yeah, but what are those? Options? Is what I'm asking.
We'll get into that.
After, yeah.
You know what? You can try to pull this up on the screen for Pat so she can read it too.
And Pat, you forgot the cell phone thing.
I gotta read that every meeting?
Well, I don't
Um,
think you have to read the whole
I don't know.
thing. You just
It's
have
not
to
that
say
you should read it, but I think it should be noted for the record that. Any of your commissioners' use of cell phones or electronic devices is for the sole purpose of reviewing. Application materials or anything that's commission related.
a second.
Don't ask me how I remembered that either.
No, it's good.
Let this read today. There it is. Okay, Pat, I'm just gonna pull this up on this screen so you can read it, okay? Pat Sal, you with us?
She's muted.
She's muted.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. the on-site soils are important, but there are things of greater interest that you should focus on here, Pat. So I'll scroll down to those. There we go. Oh, yeah, sure. And then there are some maps that show roughly where the property is located and some photographs of the property. Okay.
Right.
So, in terms of accepting this application, the minimum requirements, if you will. So obviously you have a site plan from a licensed professional engineer, you have a soils report from a professional soil scientist slash wetland scientist, you have an application. I do have the payment for this application, I have a deep reporting form. And there's the abutters list in the instance that this application goes to a public hearing, so you guys can see who would need to get the mailing notices for these. In terms of other items, it would really fall on you guys to determine what else would be necessary. It shouldn't deter you guys from accepting this application tonight. If you want to make recommendations for other materials that the applicant would need to submit as part of your review, I would make them tonight. If you guys want to have this application be peer reviewed by the soil scientists that you guys have used previously from the Northwest Conservation District, I would make that known tonight. If you guys want to schedule a site walk or do anything else in terms of this application, I would also discuss that tonight. I know it's a lot, but I think if you guys are trying to get in the habit of being thorough, you got to go through all this stuff at the beginning, so it doesn't catch up with you later. Any questions?
There will be.
Okay.
So we accept this, if we choose to accept this application, we would accept it under, and we need to specify like.
A site
Not
plan
only
review
how,
or a
but-
public hearing, is that correct? Dave?
Yeah.
Is that all we have to say, or do we have,
We can make.
do we have to say that
Additional.
that's why we're doing that? Be based on,
Well, yeah,
based on
it's
public interest
Yeah.
or significant impact?
Right.
What would be opted?
So-
What I was asking.
I would say, why would it be a public? I would put on the record why you do
Right.
one or the other. If you're not doing a public meeting or public
Well-
hearing, whatever, then evolves into the other.
If you deem this application needs to go through the public hearing process, you have to state your reasons why.
That's why.
That's-
It's only when we choose to have it undergo a public hearing.
That's correct.
Right.
If it's a site plan review, you still need to state it for the record, but there's no, it's, that's right, because it's your expedited review process.
Okay. 'cause I
So
knew that was
basically,
like a
you
legal
feel-
thing that we would
If
have
you
to.
feel there's enough interest
answer
or
to.
whatever the reason, you would put in why you're doing it.
Right, so your prerequisites for a public hearing, and I quote from section 4.3 of your regulations. The commission determines that the proposed activity may have a significant impact on wetlands or water courses, that's item A. B, a petition signed by at least 25 persons who are 18 years of age or older and who reside in Bethel, requesting a hearing is filed with the commission not later than 14 days after the date of receipt of such application, which in this case would be tonight. C, the commission finds that a public hearing regarding such application would be in the public interest. D, the commission has determined that a core activity as defined in these regulations may have a significant impact on wetlands or water courses and will automatically schedule a public hearing in order to expedite the application process. In terms of A or D, they're more or less the same. Because if you're talking about a significant impact, it's implied that there's a core activity there anyway. So you're really looking at A through C as to what to base your reasons on it, if you choose to go that route.
So does the applicant go over the project overview before we make that decision or?
If you want them to give a generalized overview, you can. I would just advise that you don't dive into any specifics
No.
because.
It's not a hearing or.
Right, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Mike, can you just do a general overview of what this project consists of?
Absolutely.
This report, but.
Good evening. For the record, Mike Mizuko, professional engineer. My office is in Danbury, representing the applicant. And I'll give you, I don't know all of the history, but I got involved with this after, Ralph Gallagher had done an initial plan, and I don't know if there was, it sounded like there was an application submitted to Wetlands Commission, and I don't know if it got withdrawn. I don't know exactly.
I can answer. I don't mean to interrupt. I think Mr. Mizuko is referring to a site plan that was prepared by Mr. Gallagher back in 2003. That was only reviewed by the health department. There was never a formal application made to the Inland Wetlands Commission.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Thank you, David. And so, yeah, I ended up, because of the drainage requirements, Ralph really doesn't like doing that stuff, so I got involved. I was asked to do just the drainage, and I said I wouldn't do that without really doing the whole thing. It just gets complicated going back and forth, working between, two different plans and designs and all that other stuff. And so I ended up just taking over the project. And Jim McManus, I guess there was a question about whether this was a vernal pool or not. Jim McManus got involved because Henry Moeller, obviously he flagged it a long time ago and has since passed. So Jim McManus was asked to make a determination. He could only make that determination in the spring. And so if you read through the report, he talks about the dates that he was out there and made the definite determination that there are areas within this wetland that are, vernal pools. So you can read through that. The original plan, the topography is such that there's sort of a saddle right here where these concrete pads. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking I'm sharing my screen, but if I can
Yeah, why don't you share your screen, Mr. Mizuko?
I'm thinking I'm doing that already.
Not a problem. Screen sharing should be enabled. Let me know if it's not. Okay.
Okay, are you seeing my drawing?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me just zoom out a little bit. So there's a couple of concrete pads on the property. I don't know if at some point maybe they were using it for camping. I'm not sure. I don't know the exact history of that. But there's a sort of a drainage divide here, a little bit of a ridge across those concrete pads. And initially, the original house that Ralph Gallagher had shown was approximately 20 feet closer to the wetland. So we were able to move the system pretty much as far forward as we could, and I shoved that house, as I said, 20 feet forward, just to pull it away and just to try to minimize any of the work in that, on that side of the divide, if you will. And so all of the drainage comes to the basin here. We got a little yard drain at the driveway, and then our outlet control and overflow discharges to the existing catch basin here. The sight lines, I'm sure if anybody's aware of Codfish Hill Road, the sight lines, and if you looked at the GIS, the road turns here pretty sharp, and I tried to split the difference between, or just to gain as to equalize the sight line and maximize it in each direction. And that's why the driveway is a little bit of a funky curve just to get around the basin. But septic here, and we do show the well in the back. And so, that's kind of where we are with the application. And if you look through Jim McManus's report, and if you look at the conclusion and some of the other highlight areas that he talks about, he really talks about that it's minimal impact and negligible for the proposed development, and mainly because we're trying to maintain a decent buffer, and most of our work is not even draining to that vernal pool. So, yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so, at this point, let's determine how we wanna, if we wanna accept the application, and if so, how would we like to accept it? Any thoughts?
I would say site plan review is reasonable for this, because there's no direct impact to the mass majority. It's private land, private road, private access, and it's pretty well documented.
Nico?
Site plan. Good.
Pat?
Yeah, site plan, I agree.
Okay, yeah, I'm in agreement. I don't see a heavy concern from the public, and it's not a major impact from what I'm seeing to the wetlands, so.
Would be now to make the stipulation to ask for a walkthrough. Or just to have
I would
access?
say we accept it first, and then
That
we
makes sense.
discuss
Understood.
if we would like to do a walkthrough.
Got it.
So I make a motion that, I don't make a motion yet.
And I think just as a point of clarification, I think this is where if you're going to have Danielle and Pat seated, that you make sure that you do that before you make any other motion.
All right, so do I make a motion for this? Okay,
Nope,
so,
you can just,
Pat, I will seat you for Greg,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll seat you for Laura. That work?
you got it.
So then I'm like to make a motion that we accept this application tonight as a site plan review.
I second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Abstain? We are good.
Okay.
Okay, now it was mentioned about a
A site walk.
Like what? What are the general consensus of the committee? Okay,
I'd like to take a look.
I would too.
okay, so what would the date first be of the sidewalk? Let me rephrase that. Is there anything that you would like on the sidewalk? Cause that may determine the date as well.
Well, delineation of the wetland, first of all,
Okay.
and then maybe delineation of the proposed dwelling and the septic.
Okay, now when you say delineation of the dwelling, what are you looking for?
The corners, the rear corners,
Rear corners only?
yeah, because that'll give me estimate. I mean, you might as well just do all four corners, but I'm gonna be
Well,
primarily.
make sure you're specific, because Mike's only gonna
Mike,
make
would you be able
sure.
to do all four corners?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Corners of the dwelling?
Sure.
Mike, is that accessible?
That's a good question, actually, yeah.
It's,
High grass, or, I mean, we could walk there?
oh, yeah. As far as
That's
that, I'm
what I
talking about, I was thinking of vehicle access and parking. It's probably be
That's
smart
my
to
next
maybe
question.
park on Ichabod.
And then walk across, just gotta be careful of crossing the street there. Okay,
And I can somehow make arrangements with Sleepy Hollow to advise them that there will be cars parked along such a private road there, and I don't want them to have any
Okay.
reason to tow any cars if you're conducting a public sidewalk.
Mike, what's a reasonable time for you to stake that out, the wetlands and the four corners?
I don't. I mean, I'll get it done. I'm not sure what dates you have in mind, but the weekend of the 7th and 8th, or 7th and 8th. You're talking about on the weekend, or you're thinking maybe evening?
Daylight after work, so it's up to you guys. You guys can make that. I'm flexible. Personally,
I wouldn't go any later than 6.
yeah, I wouldn't go any later than 6, but I'm okay with doing it at like 5:30 or 6 in the evening.
So you're
Okay.
thinking after the
Or-
7th, Mike?
Well, if you were gonna do it on the weekends, I'm gonna be away the 7th and the 8th that weekend. But if you're gonna do it during the week, I mean, let me know. I'll just get it done.
I would humbly request that the commission consider going for a weekday instead of a weekend.
No, absolutely.
If humbly agree.
You don't want to come to town on Saturday?
I love you guys,
So,
not that much.
but we do have to give Mike time to take it out, so.
I'm gonna get my phone out for my calendar purposes.
Okay,
Could you please?
What, next week is the week of the. When's our next meeting?
so your next regular meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 23rd. That is
So-
4 Mondays from
So
now.
what about 8, 9? I don't know. Tuesday, the, is that the 11th?
That's fine.
No, Tuesday's the 10th. I'm still away. that.
Okay,
Is before or after easier for you? Because
No, it doesn't. I could do before that, but before I go away, like the 3rd or
yeah,
3rd
well,
or 4th.
The 10th would be difficult for me as
how's the 4th?
the 4th, a Wednesday.
4th or 5th is fine by me.
Let me look
I
at
can't
my
do the 5th. I got a meeting that night.
I was gonna be away.
Okay, so I guess the 4th is out.
I thought you said.
Oh, when are you away? Let's just start with that. When are you away?
I'm away from the 6th through the 11th.
The 4th.
Oh, can you do the 4th or 5th?
I can't do the 5th because I have a meeting in Sherman, but I can do the 4th.
Yeah, blow Sherman off.
So
That's the
I am
4th.
available the 4th, Wednesday, October 4th.
We good? 6 o'clock, you said?
Mike, did you ask something?
I just asked if it was 6 o'clock.
We're trying to decide right now, 5:45 work for everybody?
Yeah, get a little extra daylight. 'Cause we
I
start-
am not sure if.
It gets
I'll
dark
be
in the
able to
woods
do
by
that.
6:30. I've been spending a lot of time in the woods recently. It gets pretty dark by about 6:30.
I will have,
This is a big comment they could make.
Yeah.
flashlights and lanterns and what have you.
Alright, why don't we do 5:45 on the 4th, October 4th? So, does that work? Work?
I have to grab my phone, 1 sec.
Okay,
I have a very crazy agenda for the next couple of weeks, so I will be in Vermont quite a bit, so back and forth. I will make all attempts to be there, but I can't tell you any day in the next 3 or 4 weeks
okay.
what I'm doing.
And while Pat is looking at her calendar, who would you like to be there?
Ms. Mizuko, board members, yourselves. Do you want the soil scientist there?
It's up to you. That's
That's
why I
fine.
asked. Yeah,
That way they get
I
explained.
personally don't have a particular need for it, but I'm gonna say, if available, yes, but I wouldn't make it like a stipulation.
So yes. Okay. Okay, is there anyone else that you need there? I don't.
I don't think so.
I think we're good.
I think we're good on that.
Just to see.
okay. Why don't you wait to double check with
Yep. Ms. Sell,
Ms. Sell.
I mean,
Yeah, October 4th, the Wednesday's okay with me.
okay,
it would only be, if I may,
Yeah,
the,
please.
like, in the event that we, as a commission, for some reason notice something that was like not addressed. Then we would know that we would need another peer review for.
well, you would need to
Well-
do that, you would.
But how,
well,
we
that's the
wouldn't, we
next
don't know
question
that
I have,
now.
But you wouldn't be able to discuss that on the sidewalk anyway.
Yes, you would not.
So
So
We'd be able to discuss that in our next meeting and
You
then
would
make
be
any
able to
kind of
discuss it.
additional requirements if
Yeah.
Well,
necessary. based
so-
on-
But then timing starts. to-
Right, so your clock effective with the
Right.
commission accepting this for a site plan review, your clock starts tonight, so
So-
you get 2 meetings to review
Yeah.
this.
Right,
So
so
like one of the issues that I have.
So let me ask you then, the other question I had. We don't have a town engineer anymore to review this.
So,
Should
so
we
this,
automatically have it reviewed? Cause I'm no I didn't go to school for this, so. it's nice.
so we are outsourcing engineering reviews to SLR Consulting.
Okay.
That is the firm that, the Planning and Zoning Commission also uses for their, commission application
Right.
reviews. So that aspect isn't a problem.
Okay.
We would be able to get this forward to them and have a review prepared.
Right,
So,
so first we have to, is there a motion for that, or,
no,
okay, can we make that happen? Awesome,
so, the only thing that stands on the floor is the sidewalk.
site walk, so make a motion that we have a site walk October 4th at 5:45. With board members there and Mike Mizuko, and you wanted the soil.
So the scientists if available.
And the soil scientist.
What time?
Available, 5:45
PM.
PM.
There's a motion on
Yeah.
the-
This boy don't get up at 5:45.
There's a
right?
motion on the
There's
floor.
scientists have already presented his.
Right.
his
Yeah, yeah.
plan Right here, so why make him go out there?
There is a
That'd be nice
motion
to
on the
point
floor.
something out and
Oh, there's
face
a motion
value,
on the floor.
yeah, it's Seaburn pulls in face value as opposed to just in pictures, because everything, he was very descriptive and very helpful, but it's always better to see it in person.
Pat Pearfort made a
Motion
motion.
on the floor, second,
Okay,
for the 5:45 sidewalk. Yeah.
On October 4th.
Members.
Okay, discussion. There's always a discussion, right? Okay, there you go. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against, abstain. Motion carries.
the last thing that I would want you to discuss is whether or not you want that peer review to take place.
I would be in favor of, again, I'm not a. Trained professional on this, so I would always like to have a trained professional look at it, and it's, we don't have a town engineer anymore. I would like to.
Well, now, just, just to clarify. Your engineering review comes by default.
Oh, then,
But the
Right.
peer.
When I'm saying peer review, I mean for the soil scientist.
oh, I'm sorry.
Would it be a soil scientist or a wetlands?
Sometimes, I forget what certification Cynthia uses.
So basically, they would be used just to verify wetlands.
Right, so you would be asking them to review Mr. Mizuko's site plans, review the report that. Mr. McManus has prepared for you guys, possibly take a look at the site if you think that's of interest, they could even perhaps join you for that site walk. I don't know if they would have enough time or if they would be available to schedule it, but you could at least broach it to them.
Mhm.
Or if they couldn't join you, they could attend the site independently and take a look out there. It's,
The only question I have from the thing, and I know, but I don't want it answered now because we're not there yet.
yep,
Is the species in the vernal pool, if there's any endangered or anything like that. Again, I don't have
It
knowledge.
says that they're
of
not endangered, there's no endangered species.
Does it say that in
It
there?
says it in the plan.
I just saw
It
the
says it in
list.
the
I
review,
wasn't sure.
no, it says it in the review itself that there are no
Okay.
endangered species, it also says that there's,
A significant wood dwelling
Yeah.
population.
Yeah, it's like hundreds of.
it is a
wood crops.
significant group population, but right here it indicates that there is no endangered species.
Okay, I saw the chart, I didn't see that. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah,
You wanna say anything?
Not yet,
Um,
oddly enough.
This seems like a pretty cut, like, small scale development, residential development with a pretty well, like. In my opinion, so far, just reading this, functions of values assessment, seems like it's being pretty well documented and displayed, on the up and up, so to speak. As if it would ever be anything else. No, so it seems good to me, but if it's a question of having it like kind of. Generally speaking, I think it makes sense to have our own third-party peer review of not only the engineering, but also the wetland science
Okay.
surrounding projects. With that said, on this project in particular, you know, without seeing the wetland myself, I don't have enough information yet to say like
Okay,
that I would want that.
okay,
So it would have to come at the next meeting. So that's like the planning issue. You're asking now, the sooner the better. Is what I'm
right.
hearing.
I just
And
wanna
you're
make,
reminding us that we have that option.
right,
Which is
I
excellent.
I just wanna make sure that dialogue is as
Sorry.
upfront as it can be.
Good.
So that way, if you have this question in the back of your mind, after you take a look at the sidewalk, you can discuss it at the next meeting.
So-
That's right.
If that discussion is necessary.
So it doesn't have to be decided for that.
If you don't want it to be, again, you're putting yourself at a mild disadvantage if you do that, you're putting the applicant at a mild disadvantage to do that.
To
I mean,
delay.
well, no, it's not delay, but so with a site plan review, you have a customary period of 65 days to review it. Extension time can be granted by the applicant if they determine that they need more time to address your comments.
But they don't have to grant the extension.
I've never seen a situation where they don't.
So, but if we go out there and we're like, whoa, wait a second, then we could request one.
If
I'm with Nico on this. I think this is
Yeah, it
pretty
looks
much
pretty
straightforward.
straightforward, I
It's
would
a
say.
comprehensive, document that Mr. Mizuko has put together.
okay, well, there's.
But again, we're not,
It seems,
man, sorry. But we haven't been out there yet.
Okay,
If other board members feel otherwise and would like to, that's fine. At
Okay.
this point, I'm comfortable with the report.
as long as there's a consensus amongst us
Right.
tonight that it's not needed at this time. Then as it stands, you've accepted this application for a site plan review. Which the review for this will continue at your next meeting on the 23rd of October.
Yeah.
There's a site walk scheduled in the interim for Wednesday, October 4th at 5:45 P.M.
can I keep going? Can we keep
Yeah,
discussing that?
yeah, absolutely.
Do you guys wanna chime in? I wanna keep.
I have questions that will come up when we're reviewing it, but I don't have any in this.
Are you
Yeah.
uncomfortable
I wanna hold that
proceeding
until I actually
without
see the
having
property
a peer
myself.
review?
No, I
And
was
if
just
you are,
trying to
then
flesh
we'll-
this
yeah.
out. I just wanted to keep talking
Okay,
about it because
yeah.
we've come into issues with other applications where peer review and, you know,
Would've been helpful.
realized later it may have been helpful.
Yep.
And timing was an issue and I'm just trying
If you feel like
Flesh out
it's
better.
important or
I don't
would be
know
useful,
yet,
I
to,
understand.
right,
But
based
you might
on.
wanna err on, if you feel like.
Everything
maybe
looks
it's
good
a-
now.
And-
It always looks good when we accept the application. So I
Sure.
mean, right,
Right, but if you don't
but we don't know
know,
anything about the project.
But I
We
think
just know
part
what
of the
we've read
thing
about.
was the applicant that you were talking about was peer review. The conversation was held at the last meeting when the approval
Which I imagine, yeah,
was.
which is one of the
And-
reasons why I think
Right.
Dave's making it a point now to bring up the
Right,
options and
exactly.
the possibilities.
Exactly.
First thing, perfect, which is great.
You're welcome.
So the question that would follow then is, do we? As a general rule of thumb, to me, it seems that if we have the option, whatever that option is, I don't know if I dare bring up the dreaded issue of like cost. Okay, if that's to the town, you know.
Okay, well, let's dive into
But I
that.
don't, but I also wouldn't want us to not incur a cost on behalf of doing our jobs for the wetlands and for the general safety of the town.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but after we have our
So
sidewalk,
if it is an option, maybe it could just be
we can always request a special meeting
Maybe
if
that should be our
necessary.
default.
We think the time is an issue.
the.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Is that-
I don't
peer
have it
review
being
sign.
Turned my head at the
default,
wrong time. I didn't.
I understand what you're saying.
It's better asking
To
that.
alleviate his concern, if we need to, we can always request. a
It doesn't
special
seem-
meeting in the
yeah, you
interim.
can schedule a
Exactly.
special meeting if,
For that concern,
yeah.
that's where I want to go with that. If after looking at it,
Oh, we could.
you're that concerned, we can ask for a special meeting in the interim between this one and our next meeting.
Perfect.
And during that special meeting, we can make that kind of request if we feel it be necessary.
So we can work harder. That's,
Yeah,
that's fine. We can come in, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's contingent
If we
on,
had to, we could.
If you
That's-
make it at the next meeting, it still gives them enough time.
I agree. But what I'm saying is,
Okay.
don't ever feel like time constraints at the cost of forcing ourselves to wait 4 weeks. If we as a group think something's like that important, we could always not discuss the issue, but discuss having another meeting in any kind of interim.
They were talking 3 wetlands on the property, is that what I saw?
for this
Yeah.
application,
Or is it just a one?
There
No,
were
there's
3
multiple
sites
vernal pools, but
within-
they're all within one wetland.
They're all in there.
They're all
in the
within
one
one
site.
Was like
Okay.
one here. and
So I'm
one here.
basically looking at that 20-foot section of wetlands being of our concern.
Well, that's the area,
The 100-foot review area hits those 20 feet.
so your regulated upland review area
That's
is demarcated by this dash line here.
oh,
So
okay. So
anything that's taking place within your limit of disturbance
right.
and the extent of the upland review area, that's your regulated activity,
Okay.
okay?
Yes.
So,
Mr. Mizuko,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Mizuko, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I just had to unmute.
Would it be if it's not obvious, would it be possible to have those concrete, whatever they are,
Slabs.
slabs, thank you, identified for our site walk? Are they obvious?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they were overgrown and underneath stuff.
No, they're there. Well, and if there's some leaf litter on them, we could just peel it off.
I just want to know where they are. Thank you.
Okay,
that's a good question. Good question.
Okay.
That's good to know.
All right. So did we want to have a peer review on this?
At this time, I don't find it necessary.
Okay.
Too soon to tell, and if we're talking about being selected and saving the town's money, then I'd say not yet.
All right. So I think again, I'm fine without it right now because I think it's, a very comprehensive plan. My concern over the funds for the town is not a concern.
It's not a concern for me.
Should never be a concern when it comes to something like that. In fact, I think the applicant pays for it. So the concern for expense
Okay.
doesn't filter into it for me.
Thank you.
It just,
I didn't know.
I see the I see if this report was one page, I feel like, yeah, no. But it seems very comprehensive to me. And once we go out there, we also have someone who is educated, Dave, will be out there with us too. Will also be like, he could also indicate it's like, yeah, maybe we do need to peer review this or so. So I'm comfortable without it. Excuse me, Pat, any concerns with not doing peer review at this time?
No, not at this time.
Okay, Danielle?
No concerns, thank you.
Okay. Dave, anything else that needs to be discussed on this application?
Not at this time.
Awesome, just let's keep in mind, let's bring up the peer review at the next meeting, even if we don't need one, just let's make sure we address it and review it again.
Agreed.
Okay,
Okay,
all right,
thank you, Mr. Mizuko.
no more meetings
Thanks
needed
so much.
there.
Thank you.
Denver Rockwell Road has the all parties joined us at this point. Is he close?
No,
No.
I was gonna say, I'd give it a German for like 10-15 minutes.
no,
Okay.
okay, so.
I'm sorry, can you identify yourself just
Yeah,
for the record?
I'm Mark Bjork and the owner of the property
Okay.
at 7 Rockwell.
Okay.
And so, I was frantic
Yep, mhm.
expecting to have Jim here.
Okay.
And, so, I'm sorry for the confusion. There was a miscommunication, just confirmed again with Jim that we do not have a report to be submitted to the project, so it should not be on the agenda.
Okay,
Okay,
Well-
so Dave, what was our guidance at the
Yeah.
last meeting? Can you read that?
why don't I give a TLDR, because we have two members, actually three, that weren't here when you guys had a show cause hearing at your
Okay.
special meeting on the 10th. Okay, so. At your special meeting in August on, what day was that?
7th,
Was it August or was it September?
because September 11th.
Right, that was the show cause hearing, but at the meeting prior. I had advised the commission
Yeah,
that I had
meeting at 8:07.
received. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had advised the commission that I received a complaint regarding the subject property. I may have gone over some photographs with you at the time,
Yes,
but
yes.
I advised you that I would be sending out a notice of violation, hoping to get in contact with the property owner, Mr. Bjorken, which I did. There was a time period where I had verbally requested that he give me an update on what was going on out there. That time period lapsed, so it triggered the order to correct process, which is what we had that special hearing for. Or that special meeting for on September 11th. It was essentially a show cause hearing where we went through. The activities that had taken place out there, the activities that I had done, some photographs. One of the neighboring property owners, Mr. Blanchett, was also present at that meeting. He has since filed a petition to intervene. So he has equal standing now to be essentially an independent party and represent himself. So if there were any concerns about him speaking before, they don't exist now. He can essentially act in his own right. So I would just advise you, just as part of the proceedings, whatever opportunity you give to Mr. Bjork, and you should also give to Mr. Blanchett. But anyway, you, as part of the last meeting, you had given Mr. Bjork an additional period of time, i.e. to this meeting, for him to appear before you guys, kind of update you as to what's what, and advise you of what process he wants to use, the soil scientist he selected, and so on and so forth. So I believe he's here tonight to speak on that behalf, and I don't know with the dialogue he's had with the soil scientist, but I think he'll explain that.
So we did not require the soil scientist to be here, just notification of which one it was.
That's correct, that's
right.
correct.
Okay,
There was no requirement that an application be submitted for tonight's hearing. Your deadline, if I'm not mistaken,
next,
is for your next regular meeting on October 23rd.
okay, thank you.
Oh,
As as somebody who wasn't here for the initial meeting, am I able to?
Yes.
Yes, you have just been fully updated. Anyone who was
Understood.
not there literally had just been caught up to the whole
Got it.
status of this application.
Understood.
And I would also advise any commissioners that weren't there that all of the materials that have taken place pertaining to this item thus far have been put in the Google Drive for your reference. And they will continue to be updated for however long the
Good.
process takes place.
All right,
Dave, in addition to the printed materials that are available on the website, these meetings are recorded and published on
That's-
the town website?
So there is a YouTube channel.
Right, but there's a link on the town website.
That's correct.
okay. All right, Mr. Bjorken,
Yeah,
am I pronouncing it correct?
perfect,
Yes,
thank you.
so the purpose of this meeting tonight is to gain understanding on the soil scientist you're using in the course of action to remedy the situation.
Apparently, he's pretty busy.
Yep, so who is the soil scientist that you've obtained?
Jim McManus.
Jim McManus? Okay. Okay, and what is the course of action that
He's flagged the wetlands, he's done the stuff, and he was supposed to be here, and he going through his,
okay,
and so they told me that the thing isn't prepared yet, that I'm supposed to review the thing with them
Okay.
before it's presented, and I was hoping to have.
so, and Dave, make sure I word this correctly. What is your intent in the course of action to correct this situation? Returning it back to the way it was previously?
So he asked me to go ahead and just do something by hand.
Okay.
to Describe what it would look like when it was completed,
Okay.
if you're. So,
Completed meaning you complete what your plans
yes. yeah.
you've
So I'm-
executed
I'm
are
getting
not
that-
restoration, but moving forward with what you have been doing?
Okay, I've stopped.
Okay,
Okay,
What the outcome would be at the end of the thing if the permit is granted. So
okay,
this is basically the bank above. I have some
Yep.
pictures and videos. So the bank is approximately 16 feet up, and there's a 100-foot tree at the top of this bank, which is approximately 10 feet from the shore. So this is a wall that I was creating. It's going to be 1 foot in the water and 4 feet above the water, and the bank is steep slope, and it's being eroded underneath the bank, and eventually
okay.
nothing is gonna stop the water from carving this out until.
All right, so I'm gonna hold you there. Okay, so it's your intent to file a permit
Yes.
to continue on with the work that you're doing.
Yes,
That is the intent right now.
yes,
Okay, and you're working with Mr. McManus to do
Yeah.
so.
yes,
Okay. So then come the next hearing,
yes,
there will be, no, come the next hearing to be in compliance with our motion from the last meeting. You will, Mr. McManus will be presenting.
yes.
Well,
Go ahead, keep me honest here.
he will be submitting an
Submitting.
application.
Yes.
Submitting an
for your
application
acceptance.
for our acceptance
Yes,
on the work
Precisely.
that's being
Yep.
performed. And Dave, make sure I word this correctly, be aware that the work that you're doing may not fall into the approval guidelines that's being done, and it may be requested that it goes back to the original state.
okay,
That worded well,
I'm not sure what you mean.
I wanna make sure that it's understood that while he's looking to finish the work, it may not be in compliance with regulations. Just because it's being submitted doesn't mean it's gonna be approved. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
yes,
Oh,
okay. All right,
Does this have any? So this is the 100-foot tree here, and
Mhm.
it's right next to the edge of the bank, and these roots used to be in dirt.
Yep.
And now they're not, and so it's been undermined, so I backfilled this with soil. And then,
Okay.
so that these roots that are still alive can put. Roots back, they didn't grow in the air, but they.
Okay.
Been rooted.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, that's.
Is this the east side? Do you have property on both sides of the
Yes, this,
Limekiln Brook?
I ended up, finding out by the town maps that I own to the back of these, evergreens that are in the back of this strip here, and then down and over.
And Mr. Blanchett's property is in this direction on this paint? on
It's
the
done.
picture?
that way,
It's this,
okay,
It's along the river. Your house is where? Here.
over here,
no, it's,
there's the
there's
bridge.
two houses up here.
Yeah.
So this is, I've been asked that question before. So this is actually like, a chute on the back of a cement truck. And so this isn't a bridge, it's, it enables me to bring the stone across without disturbing the riverbed.
That's the bridge.
Okay, but
Okay.
it doesn't reach the other
Is,
bank.
is your intent to take
No,
that off once
Yes,
it's done?
yeah,
Okay, again, and great information, but you fulfilled what we've asked of you right now. I'd like to see all this when Mr. McManus. basically is done with-
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I would advise, Mr. Bjorken.
Yep.
The two drawings that you have on the table,
There you go.
that you either submit those tonight as part of the record, or you include those as part of your application. The photos that you share with the commission tonight, I would ask you to email those to me. So that way, when the commission looks at this at their next meeting, everybody that's here and
Right now, you're-
remote on Zoom
yeah.
can take a look at them.
okay.
Okay, because everybody has to be able to take a look at the same information at the same time,
I see.
okay? So it is to my understanding that Mr. Bjorken intends to have his soil scientist submit an application on his behalf
Yes,
for the next regular meeting,
Yes,
for him to continue the work that he has done.
yes,
And then.
Or to get an approval for the work that he has done.
Yes.
Now, at that time. You would decide whether or not the application that Mr. Bjorken intends to submit will be either reviewed by a site plan review process. Or via a public hearing.
yes.
There's no, you're
There's
just.
no rush on this, right? I mean.
No, it's still, there's time.
You threw me off. I can't believe he did this to me. 'cause-
Yeah, is the
I
condition
don't know that we
stable
would be
now?
reviewing it at this point anyway. We still need to decide whether or not it's gonna.
Right,
So
but I
it's-
still,
Right.
you know, the weather and the time and, we're not
Sure.
in the rainy season.
Yep.
and-
Is it as stable as it's gonna be for now, as the stream banks, or are we just?
Well, that's-
No work can be done right now.
No, I've
Yes.
stopped, but
Yep.
it's what I've done so far is stabilizing it, so it's not keeps on going and
Okay.
going, that it'll carve until.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
the trees
I have
fall
another
over.
thing on that.
Keep in mind, the application hasn't been submitted.
Correct,
I know, but.
yeah, we can't.
Go ahead.
So, Mr. McManus is, I know is a wetlands soil scientist, is that correct?
Correct.
So he's gonna help you submit this application.
Yes, he
correct?
will, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
give,
great. This seems like a pretty significant hydrologic engineering event and project to me. That determine, has to do with the stream flow, erosion, maybe a bridge.
Yep.
Can you get an engineer involved?
I think
Is it
your,
now-
I
is now
think
a
your
good time
basis
after
for
that?
doing that would be that this. Portion of the property that Mr. Durkin is doing this work is in a regulatory floodway. Or it appears to be in a regulatory floodway as is shown on the FEMA flood panel maps that I referred to. In those letters that I've sent to
Yeah,
Mr.
For the
Bjork.
record, I've read into
Good.
all of the online.
Good.
And.
So I don't know if it would be Mr. McManus that would be best suited to address. The flooding potentials and how this work does not compromise. The flood storage capacity for either Mr. Bjorkin's or Mr. Blanchett's properties.
Yes,
It might be appropriate to have an engineer do that. I think that would be a question.
Once
I
it's
can say
submitted.
for me right now, once they're submitted, I wouldn't feel comfortable rendering any verdict on this without a professional hydrologic engineer.
And I agree
weighing
with
in.
you, but
Yeah, I agree, but that's a
I
discussion
don't
after we
think we
accept
can.
it, right?
Because
Make
there's a
that
lot,
direction
there's a flood,
until-
it's very
Right.
important.
Yeah, so we have a
There's
submission.
flood
Right.
capacity, holding capacity that this river has. And significant erosion.
I just don't think we can make
And
that
multiple parties
determination until an
Till we have
active
the application.
applicant is in front of us,
Yes,
okay.
Just.
I'm 100% on board with that.
Thank you, sir.
Because there's calculations, there's
Yes.
flow, volume.
Okay. So, and I'm sorry.
This-
Mr. Blanchett.
Mr. Blanchett, is there anything you wish to add? And if you could just identify
Yeah.
yourself.
How are you? I'm Brian Blanchett.
Yep.
Just
And your address, please.
Thanks.
4 Old Hollywood Road.
Thank you.
Well, I filed this petition to intervene just because I didn't like the direction this was going.
No, absolutely.
Just, especially whatever. Anyways, so I don't know if you guys had a chance to read this. Did you have a chance to?
Your petition interview.
Your petition.
Yeah, did you read all the like? So that's what I wanted to point
I'll
out. is
put
it
it up on the
based-
screen. for the
Okay.
commission.
Who wrote that? Was that written by Mr. McCollum?
No, that was written by,
boilerplate?
that was drafted by an attorney and then it was. printed and delivered.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I also had met with a soil scientist,
Mhm.
just to. This gentleman's been telling me how things work and I need a professional to. Help
No,
me.
absolutely.
So that's kind of
Okay,
just what I'm doing to look out for myself.
Yep.
But I just wanted, if you guys, do you have a copy of this or?
I don't know in front of me right
Not in
now.
front of me, but
Right,
Alright.
so
we have access to that.
Okay, so on the second page.
Oh, there it is. Yes, we do.
And I can provide you with an expert to come here and give you my point of view and everything like that, but, it says that, it's his job to basically prove that, there's no other feasible and prudent alternative, and I just want to emphasize that because that's my main concern, and then just, it's all here, I just
Mhm.
wanted to
Yep.
kind of go over it,
can you scroll some more, Dave?
sure, I'm sorry.
I have not seen it, so.
It's hard, this is a PDF, so it's hard for me to
Yep.
control the scroll speed.
well, I would have printed it out, but.
Oh, no, I'll
We don't
read
have
it.
access to it.
Keep on, we have
We've
access,
taken
I'll be
an
reading
overview of
it.
it. It's on the Google Drive as
It
well.
is the responsibility.
Yeah, you can
but
get it from
since
Google.
It is the responsibility of the applicant in these administrative proceedings.
Yeah.
Who is the applicant in this case?
He would be the.
Yes.
Mr.
applicant.
Bailey. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm sure the experts will tell us, but, and then just to emphasize that, all this work, it lays it out, sorry, I'm all over the place, like.
No, please.
That's okay.
Do this, but, just lays out how, his disregard for. The process and my lack of, and then also, obviously. This place kind of means a little bit to me, because, so, I don't want to say
Okay.
anything.
Um,
Not
as-
saying he has bad intentions, but I
Mhm.
don't.
Want to make sure it's done, yeah.
You just wanna make sure it's done right, it's not gonna have any negative side effects.
Well, it already
or
had
anything-
negative side effects, so I just wanna
Yep.
make sure they're remedied, and I'm gonna,
Yep.
you know, obviously seek damages or
Okay.
whatever need be, so.
As
David
far as
David
having-
asked me to
Yep.
point that, to let you know that.
As
so.
far as you having your own expert testify,
Yeah,
you're more than welcome to.
okay.
Well, he has the right to, because he's an intervener.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, I said-
Yeah.
More information.
Yeah, yeah,
better,
You can.
Um,
scientific.
There's-
Yeah, you know, obviously
Like
we'll
it's
be
within your right.
reviewing the applicant just like we would any other and determine if we need to.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
obviously.
absolutely. Yes,
Can I ask what were the damages so far that in your
Well,
perception?
so when he pointed out, the way that, I didn't see the photo, but, the tree that he's referring to, which I'll call it the east side of the bank, right? So he's on
Side of your-
the,
your
he's on the
bank.
west side, I'm on the east side, but then he owns a sliver of property. Alleged, whatever, he hasn't had a survey done, I have, so I know where my property is, I do not know where his property is, so he's not on my property. But, so on the east side of the river. What he started out doing was he built out the west side of the river with, he took stones from the river, it's all. You can look at the photos, you could stop by, take a look. So what I think when he did that, he started to push the water course. To the east side, right, when you move the bank, then it. So now. He's pointing out that the east side of the river is being eroded, and it's basically being eroded more aggressively. Due to the work that he did without a permit, without the expertise of a professional. You know, so that's kind of, he's trying to point out a
You're
problem that he
concerning-
basically made happen for
Well,
himself
this
and
is
me
good. We
as
should
well.
get it right. We should get it right for the river and for the property.
Yeah, my whole thing is just don't touch the river, leave it alone, I don't mess with it, so I just, whatever. You know,
100%,
Thank
and then. After application, I agree with the hydrology of it and having somebody come in to do that kind of information for us, but we can't get there yet, we have to get an application
yeah.
first.
I don't want to make any
Yeah,
judgments or
nope, absolutely,
assumptions till we see the applicant and then know
And
where
full
we have to go with
documentation.
it to ensure that.
Yeah.
Everything's done correctly and, you know,
well, as far as it, I mean, he would have to. Show that there's a reason why he needs to keep it or make it the way he wants to make it, right? I just don't want to have him waste his time putting an application to try to continuing what he's trying to accomplish when that's not a good option.
We would need to review that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
determine whether it was an appropriate application.
Okay.
And as Pat mentioned before, either it would be approved
Yeah,
based on
okay,
looking at all of the science and
Yeah,
all of the experts and all of the
Yeah.
information, and then he would be allowed to continue.
Okay.
Or it would be rejected, and then I believe that our request would be that things went back to the way that they were before, because the work was done
yeah.
without a permit to
Okay,
begin.
so I would
with.
have had my soil scientist here this evening. I'm glad I didn't,
Mhm.
hence, you know, things happen, so,
May I, do you have the, actually, no, I can pull it up, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
So let's go back to the revised order to correct, and I'll pull this up on.
that's what I was concerned about.
Yeah.
Okay,
that was the one that she.
because I just wanna make sure that if we're going to make comments on what needs to be done, that we're.
and Dave, while you're looking that up, when we accept an application, can we review it the same night?
I mean, you can, I would say that would happen more in the instance if it was accepted for a site plan review.
I just wanna
Public
make sure I
hearing.
set the right expectation. My expectation is next hearing, the application will be in front of us with the his soil scientist, where we will review and possibly accept it, but at that point, we will not review it any greater until the following, or can we review it in that meeting?
If it's a site plan review, you can technically begin the process
Okay,
that night.
so we will, okay.
It's up to you, what review process you use,
Okay,
public
public hearing would have to be scheduled 2 weeks out. If it's site plan review, we could start it at that meeting, okay. All right,
That site plan review would include when do I get a chance to, does have my soil scientist present his thoughts or?
once the application is.
Okay, and is there a way, I mean, so from what I understand, I don't think it should necessarily be allowed for him to even have an option to keep it the way it is or continue the work. I
Right,
mean, he didn't go through any proper, I mean, it's laid out right here. he didn't go through anything, any proper channels, showed a total disregard. There's no way to know any of the work that he's done has been done in proper manner.
Yep.
And it is a serious thing. I don't think that it should be an option for him to be able to, if he wants to make it something different, he's gonna have to start over to begin with and put it back to the way it was. I mean, and if he can't come up with a way,
Right,
I'll come up with a way.
so
It
let's,
shouldn't be an option.
let's,
He should have come, if he had come to you guys first, you guys would have told him, I mean, I don't know what you would have told him, but
Let's-
he wouldn't have been able to start.
let's review the revised order to correct. I have the stipulations that you guys had determined, and by you guys, I mean Danielle. Pat, Parafort, Greg Johnson, and Laura Ferguson. The four of them have determined, one, any and all work pertaining to the unpermitted activities shall cease immediately unless to protect public health and safety is determined by the inland wetlands agent. The second, written correspondence shall be submitted and or your presence, that is Mr. Bjorken, requests at the commission's next regular meeting on September 23rd, 2023, 7 p.m. Meeting room D, in other words, tonight, right now,
Yep.
to inform the commission of the soil scientist chosen to consult for your application to the commission as described in item 3 below, which is an application shall be submitted to the Inland Wetlands Commission on or before their October 23rd, 2023 regular meeting to include either of the following proposed regulated activities. The first option is, which is signified by A, remediation/mitigation of the property to restore same to its existing conditions as of November 4th, 2015, which is, to my understanding, and to the commission's understanding, was the date of purchase for this property, or B, ex post facto improvements and any additional associated improvements to permit the unpermitted activities. Either of those applications could entail work being done to either redo what has been done thus far, or to say that what has been done so far is in compliance with the regulations and that work can continue. That the burden of proof falls on the applicant to demonstrate that.
Right.
And that's part of what, and that's what would be part of the materials that you would review for that application that's to be submitted.
The purpose of this statute is to protect the environment and make sure that this doesn't happen. So therefore, he has the burden of proof. He has to prove that all this stuff is, so each of these things, if you read it carefully, I mean, it's pretty, I don't know, it's common sense, which is why most people wouldn't attempt to do this, but I mean, it's, I don't know. I don't think that he should be able to.
Good.
So I think what Mr.
So we're basically looking at it, if it was a permitted activity, what his plans are. And if it's permitted, basically like it was a permit, and he has to comply with those permit regulations, or it's not permitted and he has to restore it back to the original condition.
No, that's
No,
not how it
okay.
reads.
All right.
A denial of Mr. Bjorken's application would not construe by default that he would have to restore the property
Okay,
back to the way it was.
okay,
The request that you guys made was he either submits an application
Right.
to keep what he has done,
okay,
or submits an application that entails the remediation activities to put it back to the way it was.
so now. It sounds to me like he's gonna submit an application.
Right.
Continue. If we feel that application is not in compliant for whatever reason, detrimental or whatever. And we deny the application,
Okay,
can that denial be with restoring it to the previous condition? You understand what I'm saying? So work was done work was done without a permit,
mhm.
okay? If it's found that this work was should not have been permitted in the first place. Shouldn't, and I'm not, in general, shouldn't that work then be put back the way it was, because you're doing work without a permit?
That would make sense to me. I
Right.
don't know.
That's
the
what
remediation.
I wanted to be back the way it was, that's how, that's,
Right,
I mean,
but-
that's not gonna be satisfied.
We'll be looking at it, first, you gotta look at if it was permitted, any application like this, we gotta look to see if it's a permitted activity. If it is, then it meets the guidelines and regulations and move forward and correct any correctables, all that, and allow it, okay. But if we look at it and say, for whatever reason, it's not a permitted activity, okay? What course of action do we have to say, you started this without a permit, you need to return it to the original condition? Because we have done, I believe, in the past, where you need to return this to the original condition and restore it to the way it was. Let's say someone decides there's a stream running through the middle of my yard, and they all of a sudden reroute that stream to go along the property line, I'm using general here, go along the property line, that affects all the neighbors. You don't just leave the stream there, you gotta have the stream put back where it was. So I would ask for, at the next meeting, to have a clarification on course of action. How's that sound?
I can do that.
Yes, because I think
I
it's,
agree.
I think this board needs to be able to consider all that when considering this, because work was done without a permit. It might have been done in compliant, I do not know. Okay, I haven't seen it, I mean, we've seen pictures and everything, but obviously
We
we're
didn't have
having.
a soil scientist or.
Obviously, we'll have the engineer, maybe the applicant has a
My soil
lot,
scientist thought that, I mean, the Army Corps of Engineers, if he wanted to keep it the way it is, he would have to
maybe
have a
the,
maintenance plan, and he's basically like
Okay.
fortifying his bank.
But it would
My-
probably
my
need
train
to
of thought
extend
is
to the-
maybe-
your side of
and
the-
I don't know, maybe the applicant was. Okay.
Yeah,
You
me too.
Maybe,
You have no
maybe,
interest in.
Oh, we'll see, I just.
Excuse me. maybe the applicant,
I'm curious, yeah.
maybe the applicant has a degree in soil scientists and worked for the Army Corps of Engineer and is doing it, you know? Maybe the applicant has
He's
no
ready.
idea, maybe the applicant has no idea what he's doing. And it's totally out of compliance. We won't know that until we see in paper from the soil scientists he hired to present it to us. And we have the option then to third party review it or so. So I would like to know. You know, it may be, he got lucky and he's pretty close to it and he just fix it, okay? Or he's way off, where I like to know the course of action on both sides, so the commission can
Yeah,
review that. Yes,
And does that include knowing what the site looked like before?
yes,
Which,
Yes.
like from like aerial photography and stuff?
I will have to review that, that's one
I
of
have
the questions I'll be
Yeah, that would
asking.
have to be part of the soil science. That would have to be part
There'll
of
be a lot of-
review on
yeah,
it
pre and
anyway.
post.
Yeah.
I think we're not just talking about a pond here, we're talking about a very active stream. So questions that were raised tonight, I totally agree with.
there's fish in there, it's a legit.
Yeah.
You can fish, I mean,
Yep.
there's stuff in there.
So. I know anytime you're affecting the flow, you're affecting banks or capacity, all that stuff, so yes, I too envision. More engagement in this, but can't do that until the applicant is in
Yes,
front of us. But I also wanna know what we're looking at if we say, okay, no, you can't do this. You know, what the other course of action, if all of a sudden it just stays the way it is and everything starts falling in, or
I can't undermine.
This is the next-
Yeah.
I can have an update for you on that.
exactly, that's what.
Yeah.
You know, so that way we could address concerns if it's not in compliance, what the next step is. You know, Yes.
All of the stuff first.
yes, need all the information to be able to make, and again, what the
Yeah,
outcome
that
could be.
was fire.
And if you receive,
I thought that's why, I thought we were gonna get some info tonight.
It's the beginning, and just to be clear,
Well, yeah.
I wasn't expecting input tonight, I was expecting to understand who the soil scientist was
Yeah, which is.
and what they're looking for. The information that you're looking for and we're looking for will be coming out in the next meeting. And that's when we could start digging in, and we'll start digging into lot of questions that this board has, and I'm sure you have as well.
Is it,
But I think we need an engineer at that.
yeah, but that's after,
Not
after,
at that
You
meeting.
can't-
at that
Decide
meeting,
whether or
that's
not
gonna be
we-
We're not
something
gonna
that
do
we're
that.
gonna request.
Oh,
Here's
it
the
depends
thing.
on the public hearing versus the.
First, we have
First
to
of all, it
accept
depends on
Yeah.
public hearing versus not. If it's a public hearing, you have to wait.
We have to do
and
that
then-
next meeting.
Here's the thing, if you said right now, yes, we'd like to have an engineer involved, I'd like to have them at the next meeting. What's gonna happen? It's gonna be like,
Public hearing.
here you go, review it now, and the engineer's gonna go, I just got this.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And we hadn't even accepted
Exactly.
the application of it.
David, have
We
you had
have to
experience
accept the
on this?
application to do that.
This, in terms of an enforcement action that has been this involved,
Yes,
I have not.
okay,
Which is why I asked for clarification on,
yeah, all right, well,
Yes.
we're all on the same boat then, I guess.
Exactly.
We'll figure
You
it
know,
out.
Do both these parties have access to, is Google Drive open to public?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
so
Both parties can review.
Right,
Submission.
so for every meeting agenda, there is a Google Drive link that contains all of the documents that are.
you click
for
on it, it's
review.
all right there,
That's correct.
so.
And then you both have access to this as well, in case
Yeah.
you wanna review any documentation associated.
So,
But I wanna make it clear, no work is being done right now. Okay. Okay,
Not since the second time that you asked them to stop.
I made sure it's clear.
I don't know if this would be helpful or save any time or, but it seems like we're wasting a lot of time in between meetings. And I think it maybe would help if you guys wanted to get familiar with what it actually looks like. If you wanted to look at it, I mean, I think it does it more justice if you,
Are we allowed to
If-
do
I don't know if
a
you're allowed to.
sidewalk without an
it makes
applicant?
more sense for you to look at it. It's a lot easier. I'm wasting my words explaining it.
I'm
It's
sure
like,
that
you
we
know,
will wanna do a sidewalk, the
Yeah, it would
question
be
is whether or
helpful
not
to
we
do
would
so.
do that now or after we
Okay.
determine.
If
whether
we're
or not-
allowed to, yeah, we might not be
Yeah,
allowed.
that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm just putting it out there.
I think in terms of. Averting any chance for predisposition or predetermination. It may make sense for you to wait to do that sidewalk until the application is accepted, which is unfortunate because. You would wanna have that happen sooner, the sites are going to go into dormancy here come October and November. So.
And I understand your concern over how this is dragging, and that's why.
No, it is what it is now. I mean,
Yeah.
we're in it.
Yeah. And that's why I asked, like you saw tonight, we accept the
Okay.
application, we haven't even talked about it till the next meeting.
Yeah,
That's normally what happens,
okay.
that's why I asked for clarification, we could start reviewing this right
Yeah.
away, which Dave says we can, which.
Now,
We
what-
will-
It's a site plan review application.
Only if it's if it's a public hearing, then legally we have to wait at least a 10-day or 2 week.
You have to wait at least a period of 14 days, because that's for legal notice.
Right. If it goes, which I have to. be
what about
determined.
like a survey? Mark, do you have a survey for
We
your property?
we can't request
Yeah.
that until we see the application.
Okay.
That's.
Well, no, because I noticed they had the wetlands flag, so I didn't know if that
Nico-
was part of it.
That may be part of it, that's why like Nico was asking
I'd
about
be
third
helpful
party.
To kind of show exactly
Right.
where
So
this.
that will happen at the next
Right.
meeting when
So-
we determine whether.
No, I didn't know if that would say.
That's
that.
why you
Maybe
heard-
kinda-
That's why like the commissioner Nico was
Yeah.
asking about third party. We can't do that
Right,
until we have the applicant. in
So-
front
No,
of
I
us.
meant make it a requirement.
Yeah, so,
Can't
so
do it,
the,
we don't have a.
wait,
Go ahead.
hang on. So the commission has a standard list of items
Yes,
that are necessary for the commission to accept an
survey
application.
part of it.
So survey would be part of it, soil scientist report would
Right.
be part of it, an application form out to the wetlands commission
Right.
would be part of it, payment. Other items that are customary to you guys accepting an application, that's all given to you upfront. Just like what you did for the application that you guys accepted tonight. So I would imagine that those documents would be produced as part of that application being submitted. If not, if the commission wants to accept it that night and say, hey, you have to get those materials to us, or if they want to deny it and say that the application is not complete, that you can't do a review with the materials that have been submitted, that's a decision that you would make that night.
You couldn't just make that a given in or revise the order to correct again to make sure that's in there so that it doesn't get pushed to another.
If it gets pushed, it'll go
It's-
into a more legal
It's,
thing.
it's in the regulations.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
part of our
a
regulations.
legal requirement, and if something was to happen where. Let's say it's not presented
Yeah,
come the next meeting, then it goes more into a legal concern versus an application concern.
Okay.
That's why we put the dates as we did, where it's here, or it goes to the next step legally.
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah,
Can I also get clarification next meeting on bonding? Cause I don't think this has ever done a bond on a wetland permit. I would like to,
yeah, but bonds are normally, you normally don't discuss bonds until you're figuring whether or not you wanted to approve or deny the app.
no, and I understand
So-
that, but again, once we get to that point,
Yeah,
I would like to understand. Let's just say. The applicant comes in, hey, this is what I'm gonna do, it meets all requirements, it works for all the neighbors and everything. Here's your timeline, I'd like to have a bond to ensure that this doesn't turn into a 3-year process.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about bonds, I'm not sure your expertise on it, that's why I'm asking, we could knowledge ourselves.
yeah,
So when it comes up, we have that.
I mean,
Yes.
depending on whether it's just me that would review the application, if you had an engineer, if you had a soil scientist review it, they would produce what's called a bond estimate.
Yep.
To which the applicant would have to agree to.
Right,
And contingent on, the applicant, on the commission giving the applicant
Right.
approval, that bond would be one of your conditions.
Right.
That they would have to submit X number of dollars.
and by no means am I saying that we would approve it, I just wanna make sure that one of the options, if we do approve it, is that there's a timeline with a bond associated
That,
to it.
that hypothetically could be something that you.
Thank you.
could entertain.
Thank you.
The short term answer, just to cycle back to, the legal in terms of, whether or not the property would ever have to be reverted to its normal
Yes.
conditions in the event of denial. That's what the injunction process would be
Right.
for. Legally, I've never gone down that route
Okay.
with any violations, so that would
I-
be something that, again, I would have to explore further, but that's.
So, just so. I'm. Very clear on my intent, and this is my opinion, not the. Not the board's opinion, it's my opinion. If there is not an application in front of us next meeting. It is my intent to request that it gets whatever legal means we start movement to
Well,
enforce it goes back to.
well, that would just be a standard because.
I just want to be clear, that's what I'm looking at.
Because
Yep.
It's written on.
because because
That's why it
Mr.
was
Yorkin
written.
wouldn't be complying with your revised order.
Okay, I just want to be clear that. A or B is gonna happen next time,
Right.
so
That's
I
right.
wanna be clear. This
Okay.
is not something that's gonna drag, so
Do you guys have any other questions for me?
I
No,
do not.
not this time.
No.
I'm sure there will be plenty on this one.
Mr.
but
Workin, do you have
that's-
any more
That's
comments?
future forward.
Okay. Sir, do you have any more comments?
No, I
Okay.
mean, as far as dragging, it is what it is, right? I mean, I just want it to get done properly.
Yep,
Is my
absolutely.
concern.
Yep.
So at this point, it's really,
Okay, alright, and thank you for your input. Okay. There's no motion or anything needed for this.
No, I would
Okay.
I would just advise that this matter is gonna be continued to the next regular meeting.
This matter is continuing until October 23rd.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you
Thank
both for
you.
coming. All right, next matter on the agenda is the special meeting minutes from August 7th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Why don't I pull up the minutes to make sure I can figure out who can vote on that?
Ooh,
Cause
that's
it's,
That was one we picked it up a couple of weeks.
yeah, just bear with me here. Who was there for that meeting? Special meeting, August 7th.
We're talking about
That would be. Oh, the minutes, yeah. Why am I going
reading
there?
in depth.
I'm a regular meeting right now.
Well, you got minutes on 9, you can see, so
Right,
9,
so,
11 and 8, 7, both of them
Right.
are gonna get voted on, so whichever one
Right.
you wanna pull up.
so.
Yeah.
For the special meeting minutes for August 7th. Mr. Parafort, Mr. Johnston, Mr. Seaman, Mr. Jordan. Ms. Monroe and Ms. Sal were present, so all 5 of you can vote on that. As for your special meeting on September 11th, only Mr. Parafort, Mr. Johnston, Mr. Ferguson, and Mr. Monroe. And seeing as how you don't have a quorum
For
to
the
vote
11th.
for that one, I would advise that
So I make a
Yes.
motion that we move the,
no, you just,
Okay.
it's not, you wouldn't need a motion for that, you just, let's get through the August 7th ones first.
okay,
I'm sorry.
I hate all these motions.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice
Thank you
night.
very much.
All right. So do I have a motion for August 7th? Now, everyone here tonight can vote on it.
That's correct.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the minutes from August 7th.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Is that as written?
As motion to accept the minutes as written.
Yes.
I overtalked, I'm sorry, I
Yes.
did say that.
Okay,
a second.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye,
Aye.
against, abstain, motion carries.
as for September 11th, I would advise, Mr. Chairman, that you table this
Okay.
item to your next meeting. So that way all those that were present can vote,
Okay,
because you don't have a quorum to vote on that.
so I don't need a motion for that.
You would
So
just
can we
table,
table the
We were all.
approval of the September 11th meetings to the next meeting on October 23rd?
Right.
Thank you. Is there any more business to be discussed tonight? I do not have any date. Nope.
no comments at this
agenda.
time?
Okay, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, sorry, I go too quick. Abstain, motion carries, meetings adjourned.